okay, so in the transition to, okay, like you're consistently you're restructuring your training in this process. What did that look like in terms of building a lower body focused program?
So I really stopped training upper body completely. And then when I would go to the gym initially, it would be like twice a week, and I would do that. Once I finally really took it seriously, I really went on this like recovery chasing glute rampage. Like, you train glutes, you need to fucking eat. Whatever you eat is going to your glutes. Cool. Wake up, can't train glutes. Next day, did I eat enough? If I ate enough, I might be able to train glutes a day and a half later. And that's what I'm chasing, is chasing the recovery so fucking hard to get the most that I possibly can. And I think like I don't really like I can't even tell you I'm on like a set split. Like I train glutes if I can train glutes. Like that's my
Mhm.
split. I often, again, as a normal person, like not as bodybuilding focused, I shoot myself in the foot. And I think that's where the average American comes in, being you train and you don't eat. But if you kind of wrap your brain around it, you train, you want the fucking results. That's why I stepped foot in the gym, right? If I don't do this for myself outside of the gym, then I'm not going to do exactly what I wanted. And it just kind of started there. So from there, it's like, okay, how much volume can I handle? How much, you know? And if it's like, okay, my glutes are sore, then I'll train hamstrings. But hamstrings are like my worst. They've always been. I avoid them still.
That's amazing. No, I mean, like you've added a ton of tissue, like by far to glutes, quads. I mean, it looks like hamstrings, but like predominantly the glutes and quads.
Yeah.
But I love that you've emphasized like the importance of recovery because I think, like in lieu of intensity, you'll see these programs, these splits that are given to both bikini wellness competitors who's just like, yeah, we're training lower 3-4 times a week, but you begin to parse out like the actual programming, and you're like, okay, this is a ton of isolation
This is
work.
10 in 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what so okay, like I know because I've gone pretty far back on your Instagram feed. Like your workouts are not band work. They're not clamshells. Like they're not like just three-way kickbacks. Like I mean, you're doing hard shit. You're lifting. I swear to God, I saw that on someone's Instagram yesterday. I was like, kill me. Like this can't be.
Reinventing the wheel every step of the way.
So it looks like to me, like it looks like you put a lot of emphasis on hinging, on vertically loaded squat patterns, right? And
Um,
tempo.
yes, I think like my favorite thing ever is gonna be leg pressing. I think when it comes to like, especially when like if motivation is shitty, I'm like, well, I'll just leg press today, and that's it. Like I'll do 2 feet, 1 foot together, wide, not. I'll just do everything on a leg press if I'm truly, truly not feeling it. But I'm trying to think of like truly how I how I go about it, because I think again I focus a shit ton on recovery, and that's like you can't train glutes the way you need to if your lower back is not taken care of. So it's like I'd say yes, vertical. Like I love a good Smith squat, but not everybody can truly do that, and not everybody can truly put it in your glutes. So I think
Mm.
like my huge thing is like don't do anything that you don't feel. Like period. Like if you're not feeling it, move on to something else. Like because everybody's different, right? I do have great mind muscle connection. I could use my glutes on a leg extension. I think that's the best. Like that's how I like to talk about it. But some people don't, right? So like if somebody's given this programming and it's like 4 sets of 10, 4 sets of 10 of like 17 different things, but it's like, okay, well, only three of them you really felt like you got to a full stretch. You paused in that stretch. You got to a full contraction. You paused in that contraction. You're truly working that glute. I don't know why you're doing it. And I think that's, again, programming per person. It's like if you, like everything that I do, like even some days I'll have a exercise on there that it's just I'm not feeling 100%. It's like, okay, well, what else can I do? Because I'm not going to waste my energy on this. If it's just more lower back or it's more hamstring, then that's not my goal. I think it's really like the junk volume and the clamshells and this and that. It might get you to like think about your glutes, and I think that would be the key. Would be like turning them on. You can't turn on a fucking muscle, but figure out how to connect your brain to that muscle so that you're able to truly, like, okay, shit, like that was a hard contraction. Know what it feels like. Know how to train your whole body, or know how to train your body for whatever you're doing, right? So it's like I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm doing what works my glutes from this when I step in the gym to when I leave the gym. And again, sometimes your mind muscle connection will be great, and you can do shit like that's reinventing the wheel because you can and you can feel it. But if you can't, then I'm just bring it back to the basics, figure out how to feel your glute, and drive mechanical failure from that point. And I also like to say that, like, I like to get people to be able to fail on a single leg hip thrust with no weight at 8. You do that, you'll grow some glutes. You just slow it down and think about it.
I I really like the emphasis on making sure that you're maintaining positioning so that you're not just checking the box of like, okay, I did the hip thrust or I did the squat, because I think oftentimes that is, what's prescribed. But ultimately, like you said, if the client is not maintaining that position or they're using secondary muscles, and more specifically, if you're like, hey, I've got the adductors, I've got enough quads for my division, but I really am trying to emphasize lengthening the glute or working even like in a mid range, it's like, okay, without being able to maintain that position, even if, like, I mean, realistically, are you going to hit muscular failure on something like a hinge? Probably not, because your core is going to fail well before your glutes do, particularly if you're training at such a high frequency where you're hitting glutes in multiple facets multiple times a week. But I think you also brought up an interesting point too, is having those days where maybe loadability isn't necessarily the primary intention. Maybe you're doing a lot of movements that are externally braced. So something like a leg press, like you can get on that. And as long as you are maintaining um, the what's necessary to recruit the glutes, as long as you are maintaining full foot pressure, as long as you're actually slowing down and connecting to the glutes and not just checking that box of, okay, I did the 12 reps, or I did the 15. I hope you're not doing 12 sets of leg press. That's quite a bit of leg press.